Hello, dear students. Welcome back. This is A.R. Jocelyn. Today, I am going to continue the elixir of life. In the first part, we discussed why water is called the elixir of life. Sir C.V. Raman, the author, very clearly describes to us why water is called the real elixir of life. And we know very well that water is the basis of all life. Without water, no life can exist. Okay, water helps us sustain the life. At the same time, water creates valleys. We discussed River Nile in the first part. How the River Nile has created so many valleys. In fact, these valleys are all fertile. They are densely populated. It is full of life and vegetation. So author says very clearly that the availability of water can make a tremendous difference in life. If there is water, only then there is life. Otherwise, no life and no vegetation. Author gave example of Libyan desert where there is no single dot of vegetation anywhere, no speck of vegetation anywhere visible, whereas in the valley of Nile, which is in Egypt, is full of life and vegetation because the valley is watered by River Nile. So availability of water can make a tremendous difference in our life. So the drama of life continues on the earth only because of the availability of water. Okay. In the fifth paragraph, author takes a little diversion. He speaks about rain-fed tanks. Rain-fed tanks are water bodies which gets water during rain. So author speaks about them. See what it says. There is nothing which adds so much to the beauty of the countryside as water. Be it just a little stream trickling over the rocks or a little pond by the wayside where the cattle quench their thirst of an evening. The rain-fed tanks that are so common in South India, alas, often so sadly neglected in their maintenance, are a cheering sight when they are full. They are of course shallow, but this is less evident since the water is silt-laden and throws the light back, and the bottom doesn't therefore show up. These tanks play a vital role in South Indian agriculture. Some of these tanks are surprisingly large, and it is a beautiful sight to see the sunrise or sunset over one of them. Water in a landscape may be compared to the eyes in a human face. It reflects the mood of the hour, being bright and gay when the sun shines, turning to dark and gloomy when the sky is overcast. So in paragraph number 5, C.V. Raman clearly says that rain-fed tanks. Rain-fed tanks means such water bodies which gets water during rain. Rain-fed tanks are very common in rural areas, countryside, village areas. Okay, countryside means rural villages. In villages, we find a lot of water bodies in the form of a pond, a lake, and all. And you will see that in the evening, if you're walking on the wayside, on the roadside, you will come to know. You can see cattle coming and quenching their thirst in these waters, pond and lake water. Quench means satisfy. Okay, in the evening, if you're walking on the road in a village, you'll definitely see a lot of water bodies on the roadside. And even in the evening time, cattle coming to these water bodies and quenching their thirst. And because of the existence of these water bodies, village looks beautiful. That's what author says. There is nothing which adds so much to the beauty of the countryside as water. Water adds beauty to the village. Okay, and water says these rain-fed tanks are very, very common in South India. In fact, it says South Indian agriculture mostly depends on these rain-fed tanks. And author says some of these rain-fed tanks are surprisingly large. So large, in fact, very large in fact. And he says they are shallow. They are not properly maintained. The author uses a phrase here. The rain-fed tanks that are so common in South India, alas, often so sadly neglected in their maintenance. Neglected in their maintenance. Author says, in South India, rain-fed tanks are common, but they are not properly maintained. The meaning of this is very simple, that the capacity of water in the rain-fed tanks is decreasing day by day because of silt deposited in them. Okay, author says because of silt deposited in these water tanks, we are not able to see the bottom. It throws the light back. Though they are common, they are not properly maintained. But author says some of these rainfed tanks are so very large, in fact, that South Indian agriculture mostly depends on these rainfed tanks. And author compares the rainfed tanks to eyes in the human face. Like how the eye adds beauty to our face, in the same way the existence of these rainfed tanks in rural areas add beauty to that place. And author says when the sun rises or sun sets, these water bodies, rainfed tanks, look extremely beautiful. And also they are extremely beautiful. They are a cheering sight. They are a cheering sight when they are full. So author says rainfed tanks are common in South India. They are not properly maintained, but these rainfed tanks play a vital means very important role in South Indian agriculture. And author compares them to our eyes. Okay. One of the most remarkable facts about water is its power to carry silt or finely divided soil in suspension. This is the origin of the characteristic color of the water in rainfed tanks. This color varies with the nature of the earth in the catchment area and is most vivid immediately after a fresh inflow following rain. Swiftly flowing water can carry fairly large and heavy particles. The finest particles, however, remain floating within the liquid in spite of their greater density and are of course extremely small, but their number is also great. So in paragraph number 6, author speaks about a very important, one of the most important properties of water. He says remarkable properties of water. One of the remarkable properties of water is its power to carry silt. Remember, because of this property only, water has created so many fertile valleys all around the world. Okay, silt means, silt is anything which water can carry. See, sand, mud, etc. carried by flowing water is called silt. Anything which water carries is called silt. So author says the color of the water in the rainfed tanks is because of the property of water. What property? The property of water carrying silt. As water carries a silt, we see different colors in the rainfed tanks. In some areas it is brownish in color, in some area reddish. You know very well that water is totally plain, it has no color. But why different colors? We see this, we see different colors in in rainfed tanks after rain. You know why? Because it is because of water carrying silt. And the color of the water in the rainfed tanks depend upon the nature and soil of the catchment area. Catchment area means a place which gets plentiful rainfall. Okay, water flows from the catchment area towards the rainfed tank. And when it flows from that area, catchment area, into the rainfed tank, it carries silt, and because of this silt, the water gets its color. Okay, and author says water can carry anything, sand, mud, even heavy particles. Water can carry heavy particles. Some particles settle down, most of them float on the surface of water because they are light. Okay, so author very clearly describes in this 6th paragraph that what the most remarkable property of the water is its power to carry silt. And because of this power, because of water carrying silt, a rainfed tank gets its color. Okay, and it says the color of the water in the rainfed tanks depend on the color and nature of the soil in the catchment area. Catchment area is that place which gets plenty of rainfall. From there the water flows into the rainfed tanks. Okay, and during its course it carries a lot of silt, and this silt gives color to this rainfed tank. Got it? Then the flow of water has undoubtedly played a great part and a beneficent one in the geological processes by which the soil on the earth's surface has been formed from the rocks of its crust. The same agency, however, under appropriate conditions can also play a destructive part and wash away the soil, which is the foundation of all agriculture, and if allowed to proceed unchecked, can have the most disastrous effect on the life of the country. The problem of soil erosion is one of serious imports in various countries and especially in many parts of India. The conditions under which it occurs and the measures by which it can be checked deserve the closest study. In this paragraph, author speaks about soil erosion. Up to paragraph number 6, we spoke about the water. We spoke about the importance of water. Author defines the meaning of rain-fed tanks, and also we also spoke about the remarkable property of water. And in this paragraph, author shifts and speaks about soil erosion. Author says, the flow of water has played a very important role in the process of formation of soil. Many agents, flowing water, wind, sometimes nature, chemical changes, all these agents are responsible for the formation of soil. The soil, what we see today, was once upon a time, in millions and millions of years back, the soil was part of a rock. Okay, the rock weathered and now we see soil, and this soil is extremely important for agriculture. Without soil, there is no agriculture. You cannot conduct agricultural activities without soil. And this soil is formed by the flow of water. Author says, the flow of water has undoubtedly played a great part in the geological processes by which the soil on the earth is formed. Not only flow of water, many agents are there. But here we are speaking about the flow of water. Many agents like, wind, nature, climatic changes, chemical reactions, all these factors are responsible for the formation of soil. But author says here, even the flow of water has played an important role in the formation of soil. And because we have soil on the earth, we are able to do agriculture. But author says, the same flow of water which has created the soil also destroys the soil if it is not checked. Are you able to catch what I am telling here? The flow of water has created soil on the earth. The same flow of water also carries away the soil, causing soil erosion. And if the soil erodes, believe me, there will be no agriculture. Author says, we have soil. The soil is formed by water, so we are able to conduct agriculture. Unfortunately, the same flow of water is destroying the soil. It is carrying the soil away, causing soil erosion, thereby no agriculture. So author says, you have to check the flow of water. And author says, this is one of the serious imports in many parts of the world, especially in many parts of India. Imports means matter. Okay, it can have a disastrous, it can cause damage. The flow of water can cause a great damage to the agriculture. You cannot conduct agriculture successfully if you allow the water to flow continuously, because the flow of water causes soil erosion. Author says, the flow of water creates soil, and this soil helps us to conduct agriculture. Unfortunately, the same flow of water causes soil erosion. And author says, this is one of the serious problems in many parts of the world, especially in India. So it needs the closest study. The causes of soil erosion and the remedies need the closest study. Author says, we need to know the causes, and also we have to come out immediately with the remedies to avoid soil erosion. In the coming paragraphs, in the 8th and 9th paragraph, Sir C.V. Raman informs us the causes and remedies for soil erosion. So in the 8th and 9th paragraph, we are going to study the various causes of soil erosion. In the 7th paragraph, author very clearly explains that the flow of water is, the flow of water forms a soil on the earth. Okay, the same flow of water can also erode the soil. And in the next paragraph, we are going to study the causes, the principal cause of soil erosion, and also the contributory causes. See, soil erosion occurs in successive steps, the earliest of which may easily pass unnoticed. In the later stages, the cutting up and washing away of the earth is only too painfully apparent in the formation of deep gullies and ravines, which make all agriculture impossible. Sudden bursts of excessively heavy rain resulting in a large runoff of a surplus water are the principal factors in causing soil erosion. Contributory causes are the slope of the land, removal of the natural protective coat of vegetation, the existence of ruts along which the water can flow with rapidly gathering momentum, and the absence of any checks to such flow. Incredibly, large quantities of precious soil can be washed away if such conditions exist, as is unhappily too often the case. In this paragraph, author gives us he mentions various causes of soil erosion, and the principal cause, the main cause of soil erosion is sudden burst of excessively heavy rain resulting in a large run off of a surplus water is a principal cause. Surplus means excess. Suddenly, because of heavy rain, sometimes excess water flows out. This causes soil erosion. And remember, the soil erosion doesn't happen in one flow of water. If you allow the water to flow successively, definitely it causes soil erosion. So the flow of water, if you allow the water to flow successively, continuously, it causes soil erosion. And when there is heavy rain, the surplus water gushes out, causing soil erosion. So flow of water is the principal cause of soil erosion. And author says in one flow, the soil doesn't erode. If you allow the water to flow continuously, successively, it erodes the soil. Contributory causes. He says other causes. Contributory means other causes are slope of the land, removal of the natural protective coat of vegetation, existence of ruts, and absence of checks. Author says if there is soil erosion, you cannot do agriculture. And the chief cause is sudden burst of excessively heavy rain. Okay. And now the contributory causes are slope of the land. If the land is slopy, obviously the water moves gathering momentum. Momentum means speed. If the land is slope, the water gathers momentum. It gathers speed and it erodes the soil. And removal of the natural protective coat of vegetation. Nowadays, in this modern world, due to globalization and all, man has destroyed forest habitation and construction of industries. As a result, trees have been cut. As a result, the soil has become loose. And when in such areas the water flows, the soil also erodes. So, removal of the natural protective coat of vegetation refers to the cutting of forest. If there are trees, the roots of the trees hold the soil tightly. As a result, there will be no erosion. And today, because of destruction of the forest, we see soil erosion more. And then existence of ruts. There are so many ruts. Ruts means deep paths. When there are deep paths on the surface of the earth, the water gathers momentum when it flows among them. This also causes soil erosion. So there should not be any deep paths on the surface of the earth, because these deep paths will definitely cause soil erosion. And the last contributory cause is absence of checks. There are no bunds. Okay, it means we are not checking the flow of water. Checking means we are not reducing or we are not stopping the flowing water. Because of not checking, the flowing water gathers momentum, speed, and it keeps on eroding the soil. And because of this, agriculture becomes impossible. So, author says, you have to note these points and try to check the flow of water, because the principal cause is flow of water. And if these conditions exist, thus the erosion of soil will be more and there will be no agriculture. Okay, and it says incredibly means unimaginably large quantities of precious soil can be washed away. So incredibly, you cannot imagine how much quantity. So incredible quantity of soil will be washed away by this flowing water if especially these conditions exist. And once the soil erodes, there will be no agriculture, there will be no food. Okay, see, in the next paragraph, author comes out with some remedies. The menace means the threat. Threat or danger. The menace which soil erosion presents to the continuance of successful agriculture is an alarming one in many parts of India, calling urgently for attention and preventive action. The terracing of the land, the construction of bunds to check the flow of water, the practice of contour cultivation, and the planting of appropriate types of vegetation are amongst the measures that have been suggested. It is obvious that the aim should be to check the flow of water at the earliest possible stage before it has acquired any appreciable momentum and correspondingly large destructive power. Author says the most important thing to reduce soil erosion is to check the flow of water. We should not allow the water to flow and gather momentum. When you allow the water to flow continuously, it gathers momentum. Definitely, it gathers momentum, it gathers speed. Author says the first and foremost thing one has to do is to check the flow of water. Okay, and he says if soil erodes, it becomes difficult to conduct agriculture successfully. So he gives these four remedies. He says if the land is slopy, you follow this cultivation, terracing and contour cultivation. You form terraces and contours, because forming terraces and contours reduces the flow of water and there will be no soil erosion. Author says if you reduce the flow of water, you can make the water become less destructive. Otherwise, the water gathers momentum, it may be very destructive. Author says if you construct terraces and contours, these terraces and contours reduces the flow of water and thereby no soil erosion or less soil erosion. And in common plain lands, we have to construct bunds. These bunds stop the flow of water. Okay, and remember, if you are able to stop the flow of water or reduce the speed of water, automatically that flow of water doesn't cause any restriction. So construction of bunds in plain lands, as well as the planting of appropriate types of vegetation. I told you, because of the removal of vegetation, the soil has become loose, and in that areas, in such areas, erosion is more. If you plant trees, he says if you plant appropriate types of vegetation in such places, the roots of the plant hold the soil tightly and there will be no soil erosion. So author says please adopt these techniques to avoid soil erosion, and the first and foremost thing what we should do is to reduce the flow of water before it gathers momentum and it becomes destructive. Got the point? So in this second part, we have learned about rainfed tanks. We learned the most remarkable property, one of the most remarkable facts of water, that is its power to carry silt. And also we have discussed the causes and remedies of soil erosion. Okay, dear students, so this is the end of part 2. We'll soon meet in the part 3. In part 3, author again discusses the importance of water. What again, he says what difference availability of water can make in rural areas. Okay, and we'll put an end to this chapter in the next part. Thank you. Bye.